I remember it like on hot days, we would just go into like a grocery store and we'd park all our bikes there and go in and we would each get a half gallon of ice cream, like each of us separately. And then sometimes we would even get the spoons and we would start eating it like in the store while we were waiting in line and like getting stuff like you eat so much.
Back when I was on social media, I had more connections in common with Ethan than anybody else in my network besides my wife. We met in college, were roommates together, and often spent breaks and weekends together on adventures. I have him to thank more than anybody for putting my life on a different trajectory when he convinced my wife and I to uproot our suburban American lives and move to India to work at an international boarding school in the foothills of the Himalayas. Ethan and his wife have lived in 5 countries, and they currently live in Windhoek, Namibia, where he is the director of an international school, and they're raising their 3 children. More than anybody else I know, Ethan embodies adventure. Besides cycling across America, he hiked the entire Appalachian Trail and rafted down the Mississippi River like Huck Finn. It was a treat for me to have this extended conversation with Ethan where I could hear about his adventures and share it with the world. So then, Allison's got her last semester of law school this upcoming spring. And so she graduates in May, and then she'll be studying for the bar, which is on July 31st.
Oh, okay. Well,
I was brainstorming, Ethan, what can I do this summer? Because I have very light academic duties, and I could have fun around here with my hobbies, but I think I'd just get bored. So, I had the idea of riding my Vespa up to Alaska, which I might want to do someday, or just, I don't know, visiting friends I haven't seen in a while in America. But the idea of cycling across America got in my head, and I was not able to shake it, is how I can put it. So went down the rabbit hole, did all sorts of research about, routes and ideas and preparation and gear, timing and watching, all of that stuff. So but
did you decide, are you looking at the different routes, like the north, middle, and south route?
I have my route. It's going to be the Western Express route, which goes from San Francisco to Pueblo, Colorado. And then Pueblo, Colorado, it meets up with the Trans-America Trail to Yorktown, Virginia. And so the Trans-America Trail, if you followed it west, that goes actually up to Astoria, Oregon. And that adds some more time. I'm going to set out May 14, and I'd like to be done end of July when Allison's done with the bar. So that would be amazing. 75 days tops, which I think is a fair, that's reasonable for that middle route. It's 3,800 miles. The full Trans-America Trail from Astoria, Oregon to Yorktown's like 4,200 miles. So it shaves off 100 miles, taking that more direct route to San Francisco. And
but you go San Francisco, and then where do you end up? Not to Astoria, Oregon. Are you doing a big loop?
No. San Francisco due east, all the way to Yorktown, Virginia. It's
Yorktown, Virginia. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get it. Awesome. Oh, man.
But so you asked, who am I doing it with? Nobody. I've reached out to a few friends and said, hey, interested in doing this, or maybe like a state with me. Yeah. I think I talked to J-Boy into doing part of Virginia with me. And he said he's family in Richmond, and it goes on the outskirts of Richmond. So
nice.
Stay there. Oh, and guess what city the Trans-America Trail goes directly through? In Kentucky. Harrodsburg, Kentucky.
Really?
Yeah. So I just spoke with Drunen about this, and he said, "Oh yeah, I see those people passing through with their fully loaded bikes." And so I'll certainly stay in Harrodsburg a night or two with Drunen.
Yeah, man, that's
So,
awesome.
and the reason I wanted to
Crack
record
up.
is because I'm thinking I'd like to, obviously I want to like journal and remember what I'm doing here. And I thought maybe I could record some stuff and this could become maybe a series of YouTube videos or some channel that it could be a resource. Because, I'm looking at a lot of stuff, watching a lot of YouTube videos and reading a lot of ride reports of people who have done similar things.
Right.
So if I were to document this with some cameras,
Then you could,
yeah. And so stuff like this, like an interview with you could be part of that.
You could splice it in.
Yeah.
No,
And
that's awesome.
Maybe we can backtrack here and so if you could introduce yourself and say what you do and where you're living, and then I'd just like to hear the whole story of how your family came up with this idea, what was your role in it, and your experience along the way, things that you remember today, funny stories that you had, advice that you have for me, all that stuff. So you can start with introducing yourself.
All right. Yeah, Dave, I'm Ethan Van Drunen. You know me from the Brotherhood, from Taylor University days, from figuring out who could be lower, the game that we had where we would try to get the lowest by being, exactly, the lowest to the ground. So when you get like seven people who are all trying to get lowest to the ground, it's kind of like that. We did that. I'm calling from Namibia. So, very low to the south side of the world. I'm an international school director here. And when I was 21, I would say, my family, we've always liked to travel, and my family bicycled across America. So I had when I was 21, my younger sisters were 18 and 16, something like that. My parents, they were maybe in their mid 40s. We just took that time, but we didn't take the route you were saying. You were saying that you're going to do the route, or maybe do the route from San Francisco across to Virginia. We did the northern route. So we went from Everett, Washington, and then across through Glacier National Park. And then we went off the main, the typical routes a little bit, and we went through the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, across Ontario, and then over to Bar Harbor, Maine. And my parents had always wanted to do this. It was part of their goal of having kids, I think, was that they would one day take us across the country. And so they got me at kind of the last possible time, I feel at the age of 21, to say, okay, we're doing it now. But my dad was a bicycle store owner growing up. And so he always rode bikes. And so we were pretty
I never knew that about your dad. I never knew.
Yeah. He started it. He started it in his dorm room. He imported these bicycles from Japan when he was in his dorm room, and then he would build them and sell them out. And so that's how he got his start with things.
And Ethan, do you remember? Yeah. Do you remember what you had to say no to in that summer of 2002 in order to do this bike ride?
I think that it was a pretty easy ask because my parents were like, look, we're going to pay for your college and you just go biking.
No, Ethan, you had to decline a request from me in summer 2002. No. Do you know what that request was?
I do not, Dave. Tell me.
It was to be a groomsman at our wedding.
Oh, shit. Bad language. Sorry, Wilder. Oh, no.
Yeah, and
no,
it was a good
not an easy thing. Oh, no. You're right. I'm sorry. But Dave Nelson. Yeah, but that's tough. Hey, I'm sorry that I forgot that. I remember that name. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff actually that you do give up with these things. That's true. But looking back, when you look back on things, you miss some things, but it's no regrets going across the country. It's beautiful. Hey? Yeah. So Yeah, I don't know what else I missed there. Probably drinking if I was 21. Didn't do any of that. Yeah, also Taylor. But yeah. No, but we started then, so we all got kind of like the metal framed touring bikes. Um, so we did these metal frame touring bikes, and my dad got like I had a Fuji Newest from like 1978 or something like that. It was an old Fuji bike from my dad's days selling these Japanese bicycles. Um,
So you were
and
you were on like modern at the time, obviously, because this was in the early 2000s.
yeah,
Modern
yeah.
touring bikes. Was that did that mean you had a heavier frame, and was the cycling more difficult?
Well, yeah, I think it is a heavier frame, but those steel frames, I still feel like the steel frames are not a bad way of doing it because it gives you that, because you have so much weight on the bike, and it gives you a certain kind of flex that some of the fiberglass doesn't. This is what I'm told by people in the end. But so it was still, we had plenty of gears, like we had modern gears, like that was fine. Like, so we had niche Shimano gears like that. And then I painted my bike and I put my name on the side. Yeah. But no, it's
that bicycle still is that bicycle still in your parents' possession?
yeah, yeah. I still it's my bike, but I don't have it here in Namibia. So I ride it when I go back to the US. But that bike has probably 100,000 miles on it, I would say. Yeah. It's got a lot of miles, that bike.
You and your family, you weren't supported, so you carried everything.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
You had panniers, what, front and back, or how were you carrying your gear?
We were fully self-supported, and so we were front and back panniers. And we had on the front, we would put, like, on one side it would be one of our sleeping bags, I think is how we did on the one side, and then on the other side just some clothes, and then on the back would have been like the tent and more clothes, I guess, maybe some shoes, like, and some food back there. But the nice thing when you're biking, as opposed to like when you're walking or hiking, like you do get across like food sources enough, so you don't have to go like so many days without food, you know. So you just have to kind of stay charged up that way by stopping in the towns along the way. So that's what I remember about that. I remember you don't want too much weight kind of in the front. That was something that I decided. I like the weight to be in the back. And it was tough. We hadn't done any kind of practicing with our panniers. And so I remember the first day or two, like coming out of Seattle, we were pretty shaky because it is a bit different riding with panniers than just free on the bike. And it is a lot slower too. But once we got over the Cascades, then you're used to it by then.
If there was bad weather, like heavy rain, would you just ride through it, or would you hole up for a couple days waiting for it to pass?
We had garbage bags. We didn't have dry bags. We had garbage bags for our like waterproofing solution, and so it wasn't such a So we would get wet, and then it would be like your sleeping bag is wet. So that was it would be worth getting better waterproofing for your sleeping bag, I would say. Yeah. No, but I remember one time we just, like, the rain came down and we just pulled into a farmer's driveway and just kind of like didn't even ask, but just went into his barn and just like hunkered down in the barn, And the nice thing with things like this, I feel like when you're with your bicycle and you're in kind of like biker gear, you're not really a threat, Like, so people were super friendly. Yeah, but we would stay. It was never, we had really good weather. It was never a situation where we had to like hunker down for a couple of days because of multiple days of rain. We never had that. We did have really, really hot temperatures and like a stiff wind out of the east. as we were going across eastern Montana. And it's supposed to be, everybody goes west to east because of the prevailing winds, but it can sometimes go the other. It can sometimes go the other direction. Hey? There's no guarantee.
Yeah, I've heard people say that they would take an uphill over a headwind any day.
Yeah, yeah, because uphill, you can just focus your eyes just on the road and not think about how far you're going and just like go pedal by pedal. But if it's flat and it's a headwind and you're looking up and you're just realizing I'm not making any progress here and this is hard, it's like your mind, you don't accept it.
And roughly what percentage of the nights did you spend in a hotel versus in your tent?
Oh boy. I would say we spent probably 1/3 of the nights in a hotel, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 1/4. Yeah. So in over 2 weeks, I bet you we would stay in a hotel 3 times, maximum 4, like that. Yeah. And it was usually when we wanted a shower.
Sure. Because you weren't staying at campsites that had shower facilities?
A lot of the spots along the way, there weren't too many actual campgrounds that I remember. So we would camp in like public parks a lot. So I don't know if that was legal or what, but we would just camp in the public parks usually.
Yeah, I've been doing.
There might have been 1 or 2. I do remember a campground or 2 that we stayed in though. Yeah.
Yeah, the laws vary state by state. In the entire state of Kansas, I read, which is that's a big chunk of the route that I'm going on. Any city park is open to tent campers or something like that. So
that's great.
But yeah, they're not going to have shower facilities. At best, they might have a toilet house.
Yeah. No, man, that's amazing. Good on Kansas.
I know you were. I'm sorry, Ethan, go ahead.
No, I was just saying good on Kansas. Way to go, state of Kansas. Yeah. I think it's so, it's important to just be able to rock up to any public park and put your tent in and keep going, I think. Yeah. I get why they might not, but yeah.
So I know that you had the kind of community you were riding with was your family. But did you meet any other Trans-American cyclists on your way? Did you ever ride with them for a couple days here and there, or did you just stick with your central family?
No, yeah, we didn't ride with anyone. As we went along, it just didn't pan out. I think we wouldn't have minded that for a bit of the time, but it wasn't. We didn't come across anyone else that was doing our same route at the same time. But the people were really friendly, in each place along the way. Sometimes people would offer for us to stay at their house, and we'd say, "Oh, we were thinking about going farther, but why not?" So
that's a generous offer to house 5 of you.
Yeah, right. No, some people did. There was this one guy in Ontario, this apple farmer, and he had an entire house that he gave to us. It was really nice. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like people were generous with their time and help, I would say.
Yeah,
and there's different accents that you go through as well along the way. I like that. Yeah.
This wouldn't have existed when you did it, but today there's a website called Warm Showers. And you register for it. You can register as a host and volunteer to take in. It's only cyclists or hikers. No, other motorized vehicular traffic travelers. And so that's something that a lot of Trans-American cyclists are doing today to find hosts along those popular trails who are willing to take a cyclist for a night. So hopefully I'll get some luck with that.
That's so nice. And that might actually help you come across other people who are doing it as well. If there's that kind of organization. No. Yeah, because I didn't encounter anyone that was doing it while we were going across. That was when was that though? That would have been 2002, I guess. When did you get married, Dave? Do you remember?
2002. 2002 was
Yeah, okay.
2002 then.
Good job.
Yeah.
You remember.
I should. All right. Tell me about your eating.
Mm. Oh man, you eat so much. Like we would sometimes I remember it like on hot days, we would just go into like a grocery store and we'd park all our bikes there and go in and we would each get a half gallon of ice cream. Like each of us separately. And then sometimes we would even get the spoons and we would start eating it like in the store while we were waiting in line and like getting stuff like you eat so much. And you're just like yeah, because you're just burning calories day after day. Yeah. You're like everybody get just their own pizza. And yeah, it was like five people, five pizzas kind of thing.
Man.
Yeah.
And how much of the dining did you do like at a grocery store or restaurant versus, boiling some water and preparing something at camp?
Yeah, we did have the ability to boil water and prepare stuff at camp, and we would do that sometimes. For the evenings, especially, just like we had a couple of those, packed meals that we would get just because you don't know, like we didn't really know exactly where we would stop along the way. We hadn't had a pre-specified route, right? So we didn't know where we would be and whether it'd be near a town toward the end of the day. And so we would always have a couple meals just sort of packed in case. And then we would re-up them as we would go. That's how I remember it. And so I think it depended how much food we would pack as well. Like we would look ahead to see, okay, what is our route for the next couple days here? And then we would plan like accordingly for how much food we would have to pack ourselves. Peanut butter and jelly was a favorite. I remember. Yeah.
So you stocked in your own panniers, bread and peanut butter and jelly, and okay.
Yep. We did that. And yeah, it was like, and then I think we had some noodles, like some pasta that we also stocked. I think that was usually what we ended up eating. If it was make your own dinner, it was usually pasta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how
I was vegetarian.
What was it like having that much concentrated time with your family as a 21-year-old? Was it starting to wear on you, or did it make you closer, or is it something that just in hindsight you realized it made you closer, but at the time it was kind of annoying? How'd that all work?
I feel like I do remember the sense that I was missing out on things, like probably my friend's wedding and things like that. So I remember that there's a sense of like, I'm 21 and here I am in the middle of nowhere with my family for like the 20th consecutive day. There's a little bit of that, but it was, but not too much, to be honest, because you enter this sort of Zen state. Like where you're just biking and you don't have to talk to people unless you want to, and you're just drafting each other. And yeah, it was nice. It was a nice family vacation to do for sure, because it's, everybody's doing something. We're all, cycling in the same direction, and it's not like any debate about what you're going to do. You're going to bike, and then you're going to like check out this area and go swimming in the swimming holes, and it was fun. Yeah, I think I would like. I've got 3 kids. I wouldn't mind doing it at some point with them, but I wouldn't mind doing it without them also. I think it'd be nice, like a solo journey. I think it would be really nice actually, because you just enter this meditative state. You're just going, and yeah, there's a certain zen to it for sure.
What did you do? Because obviously it's not like you were cycling 12 hours a day. There might have been days where you only cycled 6-7 hours. That leaves you with a lot of downtime. Was it reading? What would you do in your downtime?
Yeah, for me, it was reading. I would read and write things. Yeah, back then I fancied myself a writer, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna write like things. And then when I was looking, I found my journal from that trip the other day, and I was like, there's no way this will never see the light of day. No one will get to see this. It's so bad. It is so bad. But yeah, the thing, yeah, it was great to journal it though, because it made me remember things I otherwise would not have. Yeah. And then when you have that also, it's just like you remember every single thing about that day. Like even every single like step of the way. It's so crazy how, like, in my mind, if I look at that in the pictures or in the journal, it gives me enough points of like reference that I can think about the entire country. Like every single kind of mile almost, I have it like a vague recollection of like every single mile of the country. So that I still have it. Like if I were to look at a map, I could like feel something about each of the spots along the way. Yeah.
That's special. Right. I think here's a good question. How is Ethan Van Drunen today in 2023 different because of this trip he did in 2002?
Oh, I think I am closer to my family because of that. We're a family that's not really, we don't really talk about our emotions or things like that so much, but we do things together. Like when we're together, we'll do things. And I think that's something that I can establish that as the basis for a relationship with my kind of family I grew up with. But as far as how it changed me, like for today, for me, I feel like I'm not afraid to sort of drop out of life and do things every once in a while, to just say, if you go out and just spend however many days doing something different, like it's a life experience and you're not really like you're not going to have a regret. And so like since then I've, through hiked the Appalachian Trail and actually the summer before I floated down the Mississippi and, just I feel like the life decisions that I made along that way are kind of based on the notion that you're going for the experience, not really anything else. And so that might be even why I'm in Namibia, just here to experience something new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Traveling man.
What advice do you have for me?
Yeah, Dave. I think you must do it. I do. And I think that you need to not try to overplan where you're going to be on each night or anything like that. Don't get too bogged down in how far you have to go, and don't overly plan each night because you don't know who you're going to meet along the way. It might be hard now with the app to like know that each night of booking like those things, but I would say just try to leave some wiggle room about all of the plans that you have, because it might rain or you might find a waterfall or like someone that's fun and wants to watch a baseball game with you or something, So yeah, I don't know anything about Kansas, to be honest, but it sounds like there might be people there as well that you could meet in those parks, and so like just give yourself some time for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's good advice. Yeah, that's good advice, especially coming from you who knows me, because I would be prone to overplan and press myself and say I have to get to this point. This is what I want, and yeah, that's good advice knowing your audience. Yeah. And also, you might go farther some days. Like you'll be surprised how far you can go
once you get your base, like you'll be slower to start because you won't have the, like, it's different to ride with so much weight. But then by the end, it was no big deal to ride 100 miles. It was like, not hard. But at the start, there was no way we were going to do that, So I'm sure there's like route planning things that take that into account. But it's one thing when I was hiking the Appalachian Trail, there's this guy, his name was Pickaxe, because he had done the Continental Divide Trail, and he'd done it in a way that he needed ice axes, his name was Ice Axe. And he had done it with ice axes in the spot, but he was like hiking through a desert with ice axes because he hadn't like managed to nail them away. And so that's how he got his trail name with that. But he told me, look, Ethan, the thing about going on a long distance journey is so many people stop too soon, that actually what you can do is you can keep going all the way until sunset, and even later than that. Like, you don't have to stop at like 5 or 6 or something like that. Like, you can take a siesta, and then, like, if you're going, because that's when you see so much wildlife, and you can actually get an extra like 4 hours in. And that was kind of a revelation to me. That was some wise words from Ice Axe, that he said, don't forget about, keeping on going until 9 p.m. sometimes. And then you just put up a tent anywhere, doesn't matter where, shadow camping. And then you get up right away and keep going again. And, that's just a different way of doing it as well. And I was like, and so I did that on the Appalachian Trail with Jamie. And that was good advice, I thought, is you don't have to stop and make yourself a really nice meal always. You can just keep going, even through the night. Why not,
And I want to do some stealth camping, because it's free.
Yeah.
Adventure. And you can't stealth camp if you stop somewhere at 5 p.m. Like, there's so many more people who can see you. But if I were to stop at, like you're saying, well, in the summer, it'll still be light out through, who knows what, 8:30 or something.
Yeah.
So at 9 p.m., then, the chances of being spotted and people being out is much lower. So I like that idea. And the most beautiful and best times of day to be on that bicycle is going to be dawn and dusk. And
and it can be hot in the afternoon. It can be so hot in the afternoon. You just want to take a nap. Like, you find a nice little tree or like a brook, stick your feet in, sleep for a couple hours, and then go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The only thing about it is you have to you do have to lock your bike.
Your family had a bicycle stolen, didn't they?
We did. We had one bike stolen. Yeah, in Ontario.
What's the story behind that?
We were just camping in a public park, and we had all the bikes up along one side, just sort of like on top of each other like that. And my mom's bike was on top, and someone just grabbed it. But it was this tiny little town. It was like near Tobermory. It was this tiny little town, and the whole police department like put out this all points bulletin, and like it was like this, something they were just horrified by. And eventually, like we were close enough that I think we borrowed someone's car that was in that town. Like, we borrowed their car and we drove back to Michigan to get the spare bike, and then brought that back. And then that person just kind of helped us out during that time. So it only set us back like 2 days for that one. But I don't know. It's I think you just have to be a little bit aware of where you're camping. I think we were probably a little bit too laissez-faire about whether things would get stolen. I don't remember really locking up our bikes. It was not so. Yeah. But I don't know, Dave. I would say it's going to be amazing to go all the way across the country. And it's so cool because you'll just experience each day a different kind of microclimate too. Like it just changes as you go. And you can smell it and feel it in a way you can't in a car.
Yeah.
But you're going faster than you would if you were walking. So like, I feel like you get the best of both worlds because you see everything, you feel everything, you hear everything, but you're not just walking, you're riding a bike. So yeah.
Man. Do you have a quick answer to this question? Compare the experience of cycling across America to hiking the entire Appalachian Trail.
Yeah, the AT, it's really like what Bryson is. Just like a walking. You're in the woods. You're in the green tunnel, and you're going through every day. Just a very similar kind of a terrain and climate as you go. It's a bit more social. My experience was that I met lots of people on the AT, but nobody really to go with, except for my family on their way across the country. So it's more social. But you only meet people in the towns along the way for the AT, whereas you can meet people at any time. So I think bicycling across America would be more unpredictable, I feel like, as far as like what you'll encounter and who you'll meet. And if you have your whole kit and your whole getup, then that like makes people come talk to you in a way that if you didn't have the whole setup, yeah, and they might not be as used to it as like the towns along the Appalachian Trail. Like they know exactly what the scenario is. So they, pickup truck will come by, you're thumbing a ride, and like they would say they wouldn't even talk to you. They just like motion into the back, hop in, fine, I'll take you down, because they do it like every day, Whereas,
what's the correct pronunciation? Appalachian or Appalachian?
I don't know. Okay. I have no idea. Appalachian. As a Michigander, I would say Appalachian.
Okay.
Just like that. Appalachian Trail, station wagon, like that.
So yeah, Ethan, I have a lot to thank you for. I mean, you knew me in college, and I was kind of set in my ways of like, oh yeah, I'm going to get this business degree and I'm going to work an office job and live a suburban life and get married and have a couple kids and I think you're a big factor in making me realize that I don't know, there was a lot more adventure to be had out there because of the experiences that you had. At the time, I'm ashamed to say this now, I thought that you were irresponsible and, unreliable and, what's he doing? And in hindsight, I admire you so much more for that stuff. And I wish I could talk some sense into my younger self. But you're the reason why Allison and I, moved to India, and that kind of set our lives on a different trajectory.
Yeah. Oh man, that was awesome.
Sent an email out to the Broho guys and, said, here's some job openings. And I would have imagined, Ethan, that you would have thought that I would have been the least likely person to reply and say, you know what, I'm interested. And something about it just, even though I was only there for a year, it opened up the door for so many other opportunities. And
yeah,
it's awesome that Allison and I have been able to be with you and Jamie in so many different countries and places. And
it's amazing actually how we've managed to do that. Because when you came to India, I was so surprised, but it was so awesome. But then we were on like different sides of the mountain, and you had both of your arms broken. Oh man, that's so intense. I had to be
fed. I had to be fed by somebody else because I couldn't feed myself.
That's so hardcore. No, I feel like, Dave, you've always done things. You say that you were responsible, but I don't know. You always take things hardcore. Like if you're gonna like organize your CD collection back then, like it was like the most organized possible. Like truly truly the most organized possible. And you just like are able to do things in a way that is really very efficient, like, finish school early, or like do things exactly like write a dissertation, without even having to really talk about what it was about. You just write the thing, and then you got your PhD and you're done, so I feel like you'll be able to, use that, like, your ability to just get stuff done in a way that, like, I was irresponsible, and I like would put stuff off until the very last moment. And like, I have a 5-page paper tomorrow, and I have to write that thing. Whereas you would so I learned from you to like get it done, and then you can have the free mind to do whatever, and that's actually also a form of freedom,
good point.
to not put things off and to just do it. And so I've actually learned that over the years.
I remember I never wanted to have to say no to an opportunity to play ultimate frisbee in college. And so I always thought, I want to get my work done so that I never have schoolwork looming over me that's going to make it so that I can't play that. So it was for selfish reasons, but you're right. There is a freedom that comes from the planning, in the same way that there's a freedom that comes from spontaneity. Good point.
Yeah. But if you plan first, get it out of the way, then the rest of it is spontaneous. I feel like that's what you've ended up being able to do, like with your time, like making it over to Thailand and as a university professor, just be like, like get stuff done, and then you have the bandwidth to make an impact and do things in the world because you've got yourself sorted, to do it like that. So it's interesting.
Well, thanks for your time,
Dave. I feel good. I feel good that I had some kind of we all impacted each other, right? Like it was a close group, for sure.
You are you're a lifelong friend. We've, for the majority of our adult lives, we've been on different continents, but I'm confident there'll be a time in the future where we're going to see a lot more of each other more frequently. And absolutely. Let's see what ends up happening next. And there's plenty of open terrain here in Namibia too for you and Allison to come on out anytime. It is a wide open country here, that's for sure. Thank you. I mean, it's been on our radar. And Ethan, I look about every few months, if I'm on a flight search site, I look for flights to Windhoek. But I don't want to spend $3,000 per flight, Ethan. You got to fix that. It is so far. It's just so far to go. They have to figure out how to have like these planes be solar powered or something. We're getting from Tucson to Europe for like $525 per ticket round trip.
Well, then you know what? Like, you should be able to do it, because if it's like that, because from Lufthansa, from Germany on down, there's a direct flight. There's a direct flight from Frankfurt to Windhoek. So check out that one. Check out that one sometime. Because if you get that's the cheapest way, Frankfurt to Windhoek. Yeah, and Air Wings, something like that. Airlink? I don't know. Yeah, but I'll be there. Making that flight next week. We're heading back to the U.S. Christmas time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, have a great time.
Cheers, Dave.
Seeing the families, and this was nice reconnecting, Ethan. I love you. Can't wait till the next time.
Love you too. Love you too, brother. Keep playing music. I see your guitar behind there. That's awesome. I've got my piano.
Yes.
Still practicing. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Bye, Ethan.
Are you gonna take a musical instrument across the country?
I'm not.
Maybe not.
Yeah. You have to justify every ounce on a trip that long.
That's true.
So
that's true. Yeah. Not even a harmonica.
Maybe a harmonica. I'm not sure. Any whistle would be light. A kazoo would be very light. I don't know.
Ooh, a kazoo. I now you're talking. Because I'm just thinking about these public parks in Kansas.
Plastic and wax paper, right? That's not too heavy.
Yeah. I could see you playing a kazoo across the country.
And it could just keep it in your mouth and you can have your hands on the handlebars
right.
and play it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That's not a bad one.
I'm warming up to the
I know someone who took a pogo across Togo.
Pogo stick.
She a pogo stick across the country of Togo.
Rode it pogo.
Yes, she pogoed across Togo.
It's impressive.
Like from border to border. Yeah. So you could kazoo
to Kalamazoo.
Kazoo across. Yeah, you could kazoo to Kalamazoo. You could kazoo across the U. You could just call the USA the U.
Fair.
No work.
Always full of good ideas, Ethan.
What can I say? No, but you're the musical one. I was thinking, there's like, I don't know. I vote for the kazoo. That's good. Anyway, brother.
Good night to you in Namibia. And happy
likewise.
Bye.
Yeah. Cheers.